I just didn't want to compound any further confusion about Snoke theories by adding another character who people might think he was related to in some way.
Are you all scrambled or something? It takes a week for one word to get all the way up here, and you're panicking about something that's happening on the other side of the building. How many hands does it take for one word to get through up here?
I've honestly believed that Andor is some of the best Star Wars that they've made since the Disney acquisition, and I said that after 3 episodes. I had no clue how much better it was going to get.
It's been such a joy coming back into the universe. We're playing a completely different character, and I really was a big fan of Rogue One, and knew Tony Gilroy as a great storyteller and a great director and writer. So when he talked to me about the possibility of coming back on board, I was thrilled. And every single character that Cassian meets along his way is really filled 3-dimensionally. They all have such clear or actually not clear, complex and murky and but very fulfilling functions within the storytelling, and Kino Loy was no exception. And I really enjoyed when Tony was telling me about it. I really enjoyed what was going to be my challenge, and then consequently filming it was terrific.
Additionally, I would love to give Toby Haynes all the Star Wars moving forward. He seems to have such a passion for the material. What's he like as a collaborator?
He's amazing. I mean, he really is a fantastic director, and like you say, he's so passionate about it. And he just, he had a huge task, sort of making this his own, and boy, did he do that. And especially I think in the episode arc that I was involved in, the 3-episode arc that I was involved in, was very, very complex, and it had to go between all of the different storylines. But then just Narkina 5 and the prison ship all on its own was such a big undertaking, scale wise, and to have all of the individual character stories told within that. He did such a brilliant job. So I agree.
Andy, it's remarkable the amount of information we learn about your character in such a short amount of time. And it makes me wish that we knew so much more about him, leading into it. How much of that backstory do you even know?
Well, I mean, I sort of created a version of the backstory for myself, because I wanted to know who this man was before he became incarcerated. And so I figured he was like he was a foreman, who would stand up for workers' rights, and was a bit of a firebrand, very outspoken. And then the Empire would have seen him as someone who was good at galvanizing men, but didn't like his outspokenness, and would have incarcerated him, but then used his skills. And I think at the point where he's got a family, he's a regular sort of stand-up guy, I think, and then actually as soon as he goes into prison, I think he loses touch with himself and becomes very hardened very quickly, and just wants to keep his head down and make it through, and all he's thinking about is getting out. And he therefore loses touch with his ability to care for others, and to think bigger than just beyond himself. And so I think he becomes quite selfish, and then when he rams up against Cassian, who sort of reignites his desire to think and serve others beyond himself, that's really where the arc changes for him, and he finally makes a great sacrifice.
Andy, given your history with the franchise, was it just strange to get the call to come back and play in the sandbox?
It really was. I was so surprised. I mean, I just didn't want to compound any further confusion about Snoke theories by adding another character who people might think he was related to in some way. So I was sort of slightly trepidatious, if you like, but actually, once I talked to Tony about it, and I just thought, why not? This is such a delicious character to play. So I took the plunge.
All right. So to that end, because Klaue is one of my favorite MCU characters, if Marvel were to call with a completely different character, would you give it a listen?
Hey, I love both universes, of course. That's the great thing about performance capture as well. You know, it allows you to completely become something else, transform, and how you manifest on screen is limitless. So that's why I've always adored it as a 21st century tool for an actor, because it really does enable you to thoroughly kind of investigate and completely become something other than yourself.
So did you find yourself with a remarkable amount of downtime on the set of Andor that you didn't have to prep for motion capture at all?
Oh, far from it. It was really stressful because that set was so demanding. You know, we were often, it wasn't like you could go and sit down anywhere particularly, or you know, you have your bag with all your things in, or, you know, it was really desensitizing, that set, walking around in bare feet on those metal floors. You know, there was no comfort in it whatsoever. It really got inside your head, which is exactly why it was designed like that. So there was no kind of space to kind of retreat to. It was such a great design, but it really messed with your head. And yeah, so for the weeks that we were shooting it, it sort of had a very, very powerful effect on keeping you on edge, I guess.
The parts that the teams are working on, do you think that those are mechanisms that eventually become part of the Death Star?
Well, without giving anything away, I think absolutely that obviously that the inmates have no idea what they're making, but I think for the discerning eye, I think there's a strong possibility that they could be used for some nefarious activity.
The irony of that is delicious and is one of the beautiful things about the different layers of this show that I find so fantastic. Of course, Andor is a prequel that's giving us a chance to dive deeper into a character that we fell in love with in another setting. But do you also think that you could do the same for Snoke as a character who we caught up with very early on? Is it possible that they could do a Disney Plus series? Would you even be interested in exploring that possibility?
100%. I mean, there's so much more to be had out of Snoke. I think he's a fascinating character, and I'll never forget the day of reading the Ryan's script and getting halfway through and go, this is going so well for Snoke. I'm loving the way this character's going, and then, oh no, you can't, you know that. So that was one of the most kind of undercutting moments of of the experience, but yes. So yes, in answer, yes. Please bring back Snoke. I love Snoke.
Undercutting, no pun intended, of course. All right, I'll get you out of here on this. The exciting news that Kelly Marcel is coming back to direct the third Venom. Terrific collaborator and a great storyteller. I was wondering, did you ever consider the gig at all, though?
I to be honest, I loved working with them on that movie, but I've got so many projects that are lined up that I've had in development and actually put to one side to direct Venom. So with Animal Farm coming up and a slew of other projects that I have been working on for such a long time, to spend another couple of years, it would have, that would have been a big ask. But I mean, I'm so excited for her to do it because she knows that world so well now, obviously. And I think with her and Tom working, hand in glove, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do.